guys, welcome back to Soul Kissed. I am your host Christiana, and I wanted to talk about something super prevalent and important for all of us to know. And I felt like this topic has been coming up a lot, not only in my life but in my friend's life, and I only felt like more people were feeling this way also, so I felt like it was really important to talk about this. You can probably guess it's about corona. It's about the coronavirus, more specifically the quarantine that the coronavirus has put the entire world in. And I know, and I'm sure you guys saw that I had recently posted a video about the spiritual reasons behind coronavirus, but this is more specifically geared towards the exact reasons of why so many of our plans have failed. But this video is more directly addressing the people who had very specific plans planned out that were supposed to happen during quarantine and now have been canceled because of quarantine and the coronavirus. So listen up if you're one of those people. So if you're like me and my really good friend, then you guys probably had plans to go traveling, or maybe you just came back from traveling and maybe you had a job lined up abroad or not, or maybe you had to go study abroad, or maybe you got fired. All of these plans, all of these things that we thought for sure that we could rely on and had stability in. And now those things have completely fell apart. So, we had so many of us out here in the world had plans, had concrete plans to either go traveling, have a job, continue working wherever we're working, or we were working, or maybe we wanted to go study abroad or work abroad, or maybe you just came back from traveling and you thought you were gonna get your feet back on the ground coming back now. Whatever it is, a lot of people have had their plans fall apart, and I wanted to dig into that because there's been a huge lesson in this that I feel like we really need to pay attention to. So I wanted to talk about it. So for those of you who know, I recently came back from being abroad. I call it recently because for me it feels like it's recent, but it's not. And I lived abroad about 8 months ago, and I actually came back from China around 2 months ago. Maybe almost three. And it was right when this whole corona thing broke out. And I went to go visit my best friend, actually, who now is experiencing, my best friend who experienced this whole craziness with coronavirus and actually recently got kicked out of the whole program she was in and quit because of the craziness that the corona and the quarantine and everything has started. And she called me because I recently have gone through the same things that she's going through now, of not only coming back from abroad and being like, who am I and what is my purpose and what do I actually like doing, and readjusting back into the culture and all of that. Not only that, but calling me, and we were talking about the issue that she's experiencing of feeling a lack of abundance by not having a job. And in the formal sense, I also don't have a job right now. And so we were able to relate about that. And so we were also talking about that. And I just couldn't help but notice how scared she was for her future and how worried she was, because we're in such uncertain times, we're in such shaky, unstable times, and that can be so frustrating and scary for so many of us. And I completely related to it because that's where I've been for so long, for really 8 months since I came back. I was in this uncertain territory and this gray area of where my life was headed and what I wanted for myself. And I felt like this lack of abundance, and that I felt like I didn't have the ability to create my life, at least in that moment. And finally hearing it, not coming from myself and kind of being an outsider in it and perceiving everything, and recently healing the stuff within myself, I broke it down for her in a really simple way that made a lot of sense to me, and it also kind of solidified my own feelings and views about these kinds of times, and I really wanted to share it with you guys. So we have this deck that we use between the both of us when we want to give tarot readings for each other. And if you guys have it, then you know it's the Osho Zen Tarot deck. And I love the deck. It's so amazing. And it's actually funny because it used to be her deck. And one day for my birthday, she had 2 decks and she gave me the other deck, not this Osho Zen one. And we were both, like, I was kind of expecting the Zen one, and like when as time went on and I was using that one, I didn't vibe with the other one she gave me, and she actually missed that one, and so we realized that I was supposed to have the Osho Zen one, so she ended up giving me that one. And if you guys have the deck, then you know that each single card is super colorful, really detail oriented. There's like always a lot going on. There's a lot of hidden visuals in there. And my favorite card in the whole deck, I wish I had the deck with me to show you guys, is the nothingness card, because it's completely different from all the other cards, and it's all black. It's just blank, and it's spelled like no thingness, like no hyphen thingness, not just nothingness. And the reason why this card is my favorite is because it completely changed my perception on nothingness. And right now I think we're in a time of nothingness, but we're looking at it through fearful eyes, because that's where we're used to looking at darkness with. And so with like the darkness, right? What do we associate darkness with? Black. We associate it with death. And we're so afraid of death. I myself have been so afraid for years. I still am, to be honest. And I've been so afraid because when we think about death, we just think about that, right? Like pitch black nothingness and an end of something. And because Western mindset isn't around reincarnation or anything like that, it's really that we just perceive like there's like a complete end to something. I feel like that has molded a lot of how we are perceiving this whole quarantine, this whole change in rhythm that we're experiencing. We're just thinking of it as an end, and that's it. And we're so focused on the fact that there has been an end to something that we were comfortable with. Maybe we didn't even like it, but we were comfortable with it, right? Like how many people do you know that maybe have been laid off or are working from home, whatever, any kind of change in their old routine from a work that they didn't even like, and now they're like upset about it, and you're like, wait, you didn't even like this though, so like why are you that upset? And it's because we lost something that gave us comfort and gave us a sense of stability and safety. But when you think about it, the other time that there's nothingness is right before everything is about to come to life. And the biggest example that I can think of with that is the Big Bang Theory. Before the Big Bang, there really was no thing. There was nothing. No thing at all was in existence. And we don't get afraid when we think about that kind of an emptiness, right? Like when you think about the Big Bang, you don't get scared. You're not terrified about it because you don't see it as an ending. That darkness, that emptiness, it's almost exciting because you know that out of that nothingness, out of that darkness came everything, all of the beautiful cosmos and the planets and the universes and the potentiality for anything to exist, and all of life's opportunities all came to be from that nothingness. And it's like every single empty vessel exists so that something sacred can be born out of it, right? Like life itself, a uterus is like is really an empty vessel, but it holds life. It has the ability to hold life and create something completely new from it. And that's sacred. That in itself is sacred. And so it's funny because we've like completely separated these two ideas of nothingness, and for some reason we're not putting it together that it's a circle, it's a cycle, and those two different types of nothingness are actually the same thing and meet each other at the top of that cycle. So when something dies and makes space, it's just to make space so that new thing can be born out of it. And think, it's just like decluttering your house. Look, like I'm decluttering right now. I'm cleaning out all my old shit. And the reason why you do that is to clean out all the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore, to make space for the new things in your life, and to welcome new energy into your home. And that's exactly the opportunity that we have now with this quarantine. We are in this empty vessel right now, being asked to declutter everything. And if it's not being asked of us, then it's being taken away from us, like a job or whatever it is that you felt like has been taken away from you. It's to make space, to leave that empty vessel open so that something sacred can be born out of it, something new, something fresh, something that serves you actually. And I said this in a lot of my interviews with my past guests on the podcast, that life is kind of like an escalator where you get put on it and it never stops. There's never been a moment, especially in the modern world, where there's been a stop for you to think about what's going on in your life or what you're doing in your life while it's happening, because it's happening right in front of you, and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to go to work and you have to feed the kids and blah 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 blah. And so there's no time to be mindful because everything happens so fast. And this is the first time that the escalator has stopped, so that we can reflect on what we've been doing all these years mindlessly and hopefully do it better. So, and what I think arguably is the greatest part about this whole escalator stopping is that all of our escape pods have been canceled. And what I mean by escape pods are different distractions or excuses that we use to run away from things that we have to learn, from really important lessons in our lives that we have to confront, that we've been running away from for so long. And finally, there's really nowhere to run anymore. And this is the same pattern that has been coming up with my friend that we were talking about, and also with me. I am addicted to traveling. I love traveling. And there's a bunch of reasons for me to love it, but what I noticed recently and what came up for me because of this whole quarantine was that I was using it as an escape pod to run away from lessons, from certain things that I had to learn here at home. And I realized my lesson, at least right now, is to learn how to be myself completely in front of my family, because in high school I really didn't have a good relationship with them, and I've always been the black sheep. I'm into hippie stuff, and I'm into yoga, and I'm into other cultures and religions and languages and traveling and yoga, spirituality, all these things. And it made me really different from everyone in the family, and so no one could really understand it. And so I immediately held on to this lack of self-confidence, and I really had this big fear that I would be rejected by them because I was so different. And so I never created space, I never made space for myself to be myself. And I just tried holding up a facade every time I would come home for my parents, because I was afraid that for some reason that they would reject me. And so to run away from that anxiety that I would feel when I would be home, those uncomfortable feelings, that mental prison I was putting on myself because I didn't give myself any freedom, I felt all of that. I felt so free whenever I would travel. And so I would just become obsessed with traveling. And it came to the point where my least favorite place on earth was my home, where my parents are, because I just felt like I couldn't be free. And living here with them for 8 months, I was doing the same thing. I was running away. I was running away from intimacy with them. I was anxious to hang out with them and do things with them because I just had this subconscious fear that they would somehow like turn away from me. And I wasn't learning the lesson. And right before all this madness happened, I wanted to run away again because I was still feeling the anxiety and the uncomfortableness. So I made plans to have this apartment with my friends, and then I made further plans to go travel again. And what's so funny is that really like 2 weeks after I moved in and a week after I bought the flight to go abroad, everything collapsed. And my whole escape pod, my emergency escape route kind of collapsed on itself. And I could no longer use that as my segue. And my other segues that I use when I'm home, so like hanging out with friends, going to restaurants, going to bars, getting drunk on the weekend to run away from my true feelings that were hard to deal with, all of those started canceling too. And same with my friend, she also was using traveling as an escape mechanism. So, and I feel like that's really, people can say that they're bored as much as they want, people can say whatever, but I really think that the root core of why people are having a hard time with the quarantine is because now they have to face core issues that they've been running away from for so long. And because we're privileged enough to be in, whether it's the country you're in or whatever, with the salary you have, whatever it is, we've had so many escape pods. We have, okay, first of all, we have the internet, which is like, I think it's the only escape pod that's still up and running right now. And restaurants, bars, drinking, drugs, overeating, jobs have been such a good escape mechanism for so long because it's an essential. We do need jobs. We need money to survive, and we need that coin. We need the shmoney. But we've been using it for so long to run away from certain things that freak us out. Like how many, oh my God, it's a stereotype in itself of like the businessman who uses his job to distract himself from the fact that he's miserable with his marriage, or the fact that he's afraid of intimacy, so he uses it to run away from getting close to his children and bonding with his children. There's so many examples of that. Or how many times have you used the excuse of like, oh, I can't do the thing that I've always wanted to do, like learning how to play the drums or baking for fun or whatever it is, because the commute to work just exhausts me and blah, blah, blah. Well, now we don't have those excuses. We don't have those excuses anymore. We finally had everything taken away from us, stripped away from us, so that we can finally, hopefully, open our eyes to the things that we need to declutter and get rid of in our house. In our house being, whether it's like your real house, but more importantly, like you, like your temple, your body, your soul, your life. And once we finally gather up the courage and the inner strength that we all have, I know we all have it, I know you have it, I know I have it, and face the very, very things that we've been running away from, everything that has made us feel uncomfortable for weeks, months, years, in my case, years, we have to confront. Once I confronted the emotions that I was the most terrified of, like emotions of being rejected, fear, the anxiety. And anxiety is the worst one, I think. It's because you get this fight or flight response, and so you just feel like you either fight or you do like me and you leave, and you just try to leave the situation all the time. And when you're constantly leaving, you're not setting up the stage to fight the issue, not fight the person, but fight the feeling, fight the issue, and look into it and dissect it and observe why it's there and what it's trying to teach you. And once you confront all of this, everything starts lifting up for you, but also, and more importantly, you really get this clear understanding that you are your own creator. And that's like, this is like the perfect time to realize that we are our own creators. We are bits of God, right? We have God energy in us. We have this empty vessel. So it's like our own freaking Big Bang. It's our own Big Bang. You can create your own cosmos, your own universes, your own galaxies. So what do you want to create? We can't just let this quarantine happen to us. You know, for so long we've been letting life happen to us, not for us. This is our time now to step it up and be mindful and have intentions and put those intentions out there of saying like, I want this for myself and like, I want to see this happen. These years are passing by so fast, and the scary part isn't that it's happening fast. The scary part is when we're not being mindful of what we're doing each and every single day. And so it builds up into this blob of indifference kind of and passivity, where again, we just let life happen to us, and we're not understanding the own potential we have in literally changing every single aspect of our lives, and we're not acting on that understanding. So we live like these blobs, and the next thing we know, all these years passed by and we didn't even do the things that we thought we would do by now, or we wanted for ourselves. Or maybe we did do those things and we realized that they don't make us happy anymore and we still stuck with it. All of these things, you guys, all of these things are super important to look into. So I'm gonna give you guys the same homework that I gave my friend that has been helping me, where if you aren't sure yet of exactly what your escape pods are, write them down. Write down your escape pods. I look into what things you do, especially when you're feeling nervous, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling worried, sad, scared, angry. What things do you run to? Do you go to online shopping? Do you go to the club? Do you call your friend? Do you go on Tinder and try to get someone's attention? What do you do? And also look at maybe the kind of people in your life, not to be angry at those people, but the kind of people in your life that just happen to be around there when all of these feelings come up. And what is it that they do that upsets you? Or what kind of circumstances happen to you that have been upsetting you and making you want to run away? Also, another exercise that helped me. Just start writing the things that you want to see in your life, that you intend to happen in your life. And this doesn't have to be like this big thing. And like, there's a lot of pressure with those kinds of things. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be like a crazy, like, I want to be the next Mother Teresa, or I want to be the next Bad Bunny or T-Pain. Literally my favorite people ever. It doesn't have to be like that. I started out writing stuff that I want to manifest, of like, literally the first thing I wrote was that I want to be under the sun more. I'm in Chicago right now. I really barely get the sun, and I love the sun. I need the sun to feel energized and just more like myself, and I really want it in my life. So I started off with that, and I said that I wanted to dance more and sing more, and it can just be really, really simple things. Not even like, I want to be a singer and a dancer, like really not even that. Like, I just, something that I want to do, like I want to dance to the shower, whatever it is. And just start making it really, really simple. Like, I want to start having green tea every morning, like really whatever. And it helps you get into this flow of everything, so that it just kind of gets easier and easier for you to think about other things. And then eventually things just start coming to your mind, and you're able to just write exactly what comes down into your mind. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. So it's a Saturday night. I'm in my pajamas already. And this quarantine is good. It's hard. It's challenging. It's weird. It's funky. It's different. But it's so needed for so many of us. Again, I'm emphasizing the quarantine aspect. Like, it's hard. It's uncomfortable, but it's good and it's needed. And let me know, you guys, if this helped you at all. I really hope that it did. And there's gonna be more videos up to come soon, and we're gonna have more guests up on the page soon. Don't forget to check out Soul Kist's Etsy page. We have art printables, motivational, inspirational, spiritual art printables to help elevate your energy, your vibes, good vibes, bring in the good vibes. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Don't forget to follow the Soul Kiss journey, whether that's on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is. Do it, please. It would mean a lot to me if you did. Okay. Okay, bye you guys.